Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Zen from Zen Multiverse, and welcome back to another reaction hype review. And today we are gonna review and react to Ghost Rider Return of Vengeance #1. So let me say this book takes place in hell, right? And we have Vengeance who is there in his human form, and he is basically just shackled, right, by a couple of, I don't want to say Hell Lords, but Hell Lords would be like Mephisto and things of that nature, but basically just people who are running the show down there at the time or the location that they're in. And basically they're about to just for lack of better words, they're just gonna humiliate him and just do a whole bunch of stuff to him, kick him, beat him up, do all kinds of things to Vengeance as he is right now. And he's basically in his cool facade and saying like, "Do what you want, whatever." And but there seems to be a plan, and the plan is a prison break of sorts, right? A break from hell. And in order to do that, he needs to get a specific character, and one of the specific characters is called Hellgate, right? And Hellgate, he sees Hellgate along the way and he shackles him up and he gets him, right? He breaks away from basically Vengeance breaks away from some of the captors that he has at that time, and one of them flicks a spark, right? And that spark ignites him to be able to turn into Vengeance, right? Which we see at the cover in his most purest form, right? Now he goes and he escapes, right? And he finds another person named Skinner. Skinner is just another person who's in hell, but all together they work together to basically get out of hell, and they shackle Hellgate alongside the his ride, right? Because he's a ghost rider, and in order to be a ghost rider he needs to basically get his ride, which is a pretty cool scene in the book when he does that, because he when he becomes Vengeance himself, right, in his purest form, he's like, I can't be a ghost rider without my his bike. And then he makes it out of skulls and things like that, and Skinner's like, how about you make me one too? And then Vengeance is like, no. So they go along, they make it, they fight a couple of people in hell and things of that nature, and they barely make it out, right? They get to the point where, and remember, Hellgate is like shackled to the bike the whole entire time. They're like riding around, going to all these places, and then Hellgate is just like bumping all over the place. So they make it to this point, right? Which seems to be a gateway, right? And they're talking about what they're gonna do next, right? And then Hellgate is basically like what am I doing? Like, why do you guys need me and things like that? So they pin him up to this what seems to be like a stone of sorts, right? And then uh the Vengeance is basically like to him, he's like, he's like, I'm sorry about what you're about to feel, but this is totally Vengeance, because Hellgate has done something to Vengeance before, and that's why he's utilized him. But Hellgate has the ability to basically, once he's opened up, he can form a portal from hell in order all the way to the real world. So he opens him up, right? And then they go through the portal. So Skinner gets on top of the bike and they go through the portal, which is basically um, uh, gateway, right? Hellgate. And Skinner basically says, I could finish off the not the spell, but he says I'll finish off the words in order to make it through, so that we can make the portal all the way to where we get into. But one of the weirdest things that kind of like threw me off, and because I was like, oh, all right, so Vengeance and Skinner is basically going to be a little team, right? As they get back into the real world, as they're going through the portal, their minds start to blend, or memories start to blend, rather, and you start to get a relapse of what Skinner did, right? And come to find out, he actually killed his wife and also his younger son, right? And as they're going through the portal, Skinner says to Vengeance, he's like, "That was a like trippy ride, right?" And then he then asks him, he's like, "What's wrong?" And then Vengeance is basically like, I saw what you did, right? And then Skinner's like, I had to do this because Mother would have put them through eternity for all of time, right? So it's one of these scenarios where he felt like he was doing the right thing. He felt like if he took them out, uh, basically he would be saving them. But in Vengeance's mind and in our minds, there's always another way, right? There's always another way to overcome some feats um of evil and also trials and tribulations, right? So Vengeance basically pushes him back into the portal, and he's like, you're going back to hell. And so then he goes back to hell, and all we have is Vengeance as he is back in the real world. And then he starts to ride off, right? And that comes to the end of the book. But one of the things that we learn in the book is that Vengeance isn't he isn't tied to any bind, right? Like any ghostwriter, they have some kind of contract, right, with Mephisto, right? You do X, Y, and Z, and you could get X, Y, and Z back. But he seems to be unshackled by that, so he's just going purely on instinct. And that is said by one of the barons, right? I'm just going to use the word barons, who are in hell, who's watching over him at that time. So that's the whole book. What would I rate it? I would definitely rate it a go read it, right? This is Zen from Zen Multiverse saying peace, love, and prosperity. If you enjoy my content, drop me a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video with like-minded people, and I'll catch you all later for the next reaction hype review. Later, everyone.